Have you ever felt like you are at a crossroads, searching for ways to live more harmoniously with the planet, but not knowing where to start? The concept of permaculture may seem like a distant or complex solution, filled with techniques and practices that challenge our conventional routines. How can this ancient yet innovative system help you transform your relationship with nature and the community around you? And more importantly, is it possible that these practices can truly make a significant difference in combating climate change and preserving our natural resources? These are questions that many of us ask when seeking sustainable alternatives for the future. Stay with us until the end of this video, where we will discuss the principles and practices of permaculture, revealing how this permanent culture can be the key to a more sustainable and just coexistence. But after all, what is permaculture? Permaculture is a systematic and holistic approach to environmental design that focuses on creating sustainable and ecologically balanced living systems. The term permaculture was coined by Bill Mollison and David Holmgren in the 1970s in Australia, derived from the combination of the words permanent culture. This concept aims to promote lasting and sustainable living and social practices, seeking a harmonious and permanent integration of humans on planet Earth. The philosophy of permaculture is based on observing and replicating patterns and characteristics found in natural ecosystems. This approach aims to develop systems that are self-sufficient, resilient, and beneficial for the environment and communities. Permaculture systems are designed to work with nature rather than against it, optimizing the use of natural resources such as water, soil, and biodiversity while minimizing waste and pollution. The approach of permaculture extends far beyond agriculture. It encompasses all aspects of human life, from the design and management of dwellings and communities to waste management and energy production. Permaculture design starts with careful and thoughtful observation, followed by implementing solutions that promote synergies between system elements. For example, the strategic placement of plants, trees, and buildings can create microclimates that reduce the need for heating or cooling, while the use of water harvesting technologies and composting can maximize the efficiency of local resources. One of the key principles of permaculture is designing from patterns to details, where the approach first involves understanding and applying broad natural patterns, such as spirals, waves, and networks, before detailing specific solutions to meet local needs. This ensures that systems are both adaptable and replicable in different contexts and scales. Finally, permaculture is not just a set of design techniques. It is also an ethical stance that emphasizes care for the earth, care for people, and fair sharing. These ethical principles guide all decisions within the permaculture system, seeking not only environmental sustainability, but also social equity and resilience. Therefore, permaculture offers tangible hope for a future in which humanity coexists productively and harmoniously with the planet. The origin of permaculture dates back to the 1970s as a critical and innovative response to conventional agricultural methods, which were often characterized by being intensive, degrading to the soil, and unsustainable in the long term. Bill Mollison, an ecologist and university professor, and his student, David Holmgren, in Tasmania, Australia, began to formulate the foundations of permaculture after directly observing the adverse effects of industrial agricultural practices. They saw that such practices not only depleted natural resources, but also left the land and communities vulnerable to collapse and crises. Inspired by the stability, resilience, and self-sufficiency of natural ecosystems, Mollison and Holmgren sought to develop a system that could replicate these characteristics. They believed that by understanding and applying the patterns and relationships observed in nature, it would be possible to create more sustainable and productive human environments. The goal was to design systems that not only survived, but also thrived with minimal human intervention and consumption of external resources. To realize this vision, Mollison and Holmgren began integrating knowledge from ecology, geography, agriculture, architecture, and other disciplines, forming what we now know as the principles of permaculture design. These principles were designed to be applicable in both rural and urban environments, encompassing everything from food production to housing construction and water resource management. The first significant book on the subject, Permaculture 1, was published by Mollison and Holmgren in 1978. Later, the publication of Permaculture, a designer's manual by Bill Mollison in 1988, became one of the most important and comprehensive works on the topic of permaculture. The link to access this book more easily is available in the first pinned comment. Since then, permaculture has spread globally, adapting to different climates, cultures, and contexts, always with the goal of promoting harmony between humans and nature. Thus, permaculture has established itself not just as a form of agriculture, but as a philosophy of life that emphasizes the interdependence of all biotic and abiotic elements, seeking solutions that sustain and regenerate ecosystems over time. By offering a holistic and integrated alternative, permaculture continues to inspire and equip individuals and communities to create a more resilient and sustainable future. Regarding the principles of permaculture, permaculture has a deep ethical foundation that guides all practices and decisions within this environmental design system. These fundamental ethical principles include care for the earth. This principle involves the preservation and regeneration of natural systems and resources. It calls for the protection of biodiversity, soils, water, and all elements that sustain life on the planet. The idea is that by taking care of the earth, it will in turn take care of us, providing resources and a sustainable habitat. Care for people. This principle focuses on ensuring that people have access to the resources necessary for their lives, promoting life-supporting systems that are sustainable and fair. It emphasizes the importance of resilient and self-sufficient communities that can thrive while caring for each other and the environment they live in. Fair share. This principle is about limiting consumption and redistributing surplus to promote equity and social justice. It encourages the reduction of waste and the efficient use of resources, ensuring that the benefits generated by permaculture systems are shared fairly among all involved. And we also have the principles of permaculture design. These principles help create efficient, resilient, and sustainable systems. Observe and interact. This principle encourages careful observation of nature and the interactions between its elements before any intervention. The idea is to learn from the environment, understanding its patterns and rhythms before implementing design solutions. Catch and store energy. Use strategies such as rainwater harvesting and solar energy storage to create systems that maximize the use of renewable resources and minimize dependence on external sources. Obtain a yield. Ensures that the interventions and design systems produce tangible and sustainable results, whether in the form of food, energy, or any other resource necessary for the community. Apply self-regulation and accept feedback. This principle relates to the system's ability to self-regulate and adapt based on internal and external feedback, promoting continuous learning and adaptation to environmental or social changes. Use and value renewable resources and services. Prioritizes the use of resources that regenerate faster than they are consumed, reducing the ecological footprint and promoting long-term sustainability. Produce no waste. Follows the idea that nothing is lost, everything is transformed, turning waste into valuable resources and minimizing pollution and environmental degradation. Design from patterns to details. Involves planning from broad natural patterns to then detail specific solutions that meet local needs, ensuring that the design functions as an integrated whole. Integrate rather than segregate. This principle seeks to place different elements so that they support and positively interact, creating synergistic relationships within the system. Use small and slow solutions. Favors approaches that are easier to manage, less costly, and more adaptable, recognizing that small and slow solutions are often more effective than large, quick interventions. These design principles are applied in a way that creates environments that are not only sustainable, but also adaptable and resilient, capable of supporting and nurturing present and future generations. Wonderful! Now that we know the principles of permaculture, what are the practices of permaculture? Permaculture practices are diverse and adaptable, varying according to local needs, climatic conditions, and available resources. All these practices are guided by the ethical and design principles of permaculture and aim to create systems that are sustainable, resilient, and productive. Here are some of the most common practices. Agroforestry. This practice involves integrating trees and diverse crops to create agricultural systems that mimic natural ecosystems. In an agroforestry system, trees can provide shade, shelter, and nutrients for smaller crops while helping preserve biodiversity and soil health. This method promotes a self-sustaining life cycle that can increase agricultural productivity and ecological resilience. Sustainable water systems. Efficient water management is crucial in permaculture. Techniques like swales, contour trenches that capture and direct rainwater, water tanks, and irrigation systems using rainwater or reused graywater help reduce reliance on external water sources and mitigate the effects of drought. Natural building. Using local, natural, and sustainable materials in construction is a key practice in permaculture. This includes using earth, stone, sustainably sourced wood, and even techniques like earth bags or cob. These building practices not only reduce environmental impact, but also improve energy efficiency and the health of occupants. Zone gardening. Organizing space into zones reflects the frequency of use and human needs from the house outward. Zone 1, for example, may include crops that require daily attention, while more distant zones can be used for crops that require less maintenance. This strategy helps optimize efficiency and reduce labor and energy consumption. Composting and nutrient recycling. Turning organic waste into compost is a fundamental practice in permaculture for recycling nutrients and improving soil health. This not only reduces the amount of waste sent to landfills, but also produces a rich fertilizer that can help increase soil fertility without the use of chemicals. Local production and integrated food systems. Promoting local food production helps reduce transportation costs and associated emissions while increasing food security. Integrating food systems into a permaculture design can also include raising animals and cultivating plants in a way that they complement each other. These practices not only create aesthetically pleasing and productive systems, but also help close cycles and reduce the need for external inputs, promoting greater sustainability and resilience in local communities. Permaculture offers an adaptable approach that can be applied on different scales, from small urban gardens to large rural properties, demonstrating that it is possible to live in harmony with the environment around us. We hope that the initial doubts and questions about permaculture have found enlightening answers. Permaculture is not just an agricultural technique. It is a philosophy of life that proposes a balanced and respectful coexistence with our planet. By integrating land, people, and the environment, permaculture offers ways for each of us to contribute to a more sustainable and equitable world. If you were wondering about the effectiveness and relevance of these practices, you can now see how they are fundamental not only for environmental sustainability, but also for strengthening resilient and self-sufficient communities. Permaculture is a tangible response to contemporary challenges, equipping us with the tools to not just survive, but thrive in harmony with nature. By adopting these principles and practices, you are doing more than cultivating the land. You are sowing the seeds of a more promising future for all of us. See you soon, and let's move towards a bountiful earth.